here once again with Rockstar Entrepreneurial Starters and the Entrepreneur Power Hour. Welcome to this video. So I want to talk to you guys about overcoming anxiety. Now I know a lot of you might be struggling with this condition. Maybe you're having racing thoughts, maybe you're having panic attacks, maybe you have OCD, maybe you have health anxiety, maybe you have emetophobia, which is the fear of vomiting, maybe you have agoraphobia, maybe you have these weird phobias of going to sleep or being awake or getting out of your bed. Now, the list of anxiety-related symptoms goes on. And I say symptoms because those symptoms aren't real, okay? What has happened is your mind has been reprogrammed to go into fight or flight response at any given time. Now, some people experience constant generalized anxiety. Some people only experience anxiety when they're in certain places, situations. Say they have social anxiety, so they only get anxiety when they're in social situations, which could lead to panic attacks, okay? Maybe they have a fear of being in wide open spaces because they think the worst could happen if they're outside, etc., etc. Now, I've been watching Wonder Bro. Big shout out to you, buddy, on YouTube. Check him out. I'll put a link in the description box for this video. And he talks about acceptance. And at first, I was a little bit weary of this. And I'm like, well, okay, I've learned something different. I did the Linden method from Charles Linden, which teaches you to divert your conscious mind away from the anxiety while reprogramming the subconscious mind. Now, this does work, okay? This does work, but the activity has to be something that engulfs all aspects of your mind. You can't just sit there watching TV or doing something that you already know how to do. You must reprogram the amygdala with something called operant conditioning. But I do believe that Wonder Bro's method that he has discovered works as well. Acceptance. What does that mean? It means that you simply accept what's happening. Don't react to the anxiety. No matter how terrible these thoughts may be, no matter how terrible these sensations may be, they can't hurt you. Okay? Let's think about this. Let's really dissect this, because anxiety is a natural defense mechanism. We need it to survive. Without the fear response, we would be dead. Okay? So how can it hurt you? Think about it. When you're walking down the street and a car is going to run you over, you get out of the way. You don't think about it. You just react and you get out of the way. If a bear jumps out and tries to attack you, you're going to run. If somebody comes at you with a knife, you're going to fight or run, right? So you don't fear those sensations at those moments. Why fear them when they happen at random times? The difference is that we think there's something internally wrong with us when these symptoms present themselves. So if you have a panic attack and you're in the grocery store, of course you're going to be like, what the hell's going on? I don't understand this. Why is this happening to me? The reason that's happening to you is because your brain believes that that is a threat. Now, this stems from perhaps a traumatic event that might have happened to you when you went to the grocery store, and you misinterpreted that response at that time with danger. So now your mind believes that being in the grocery store is life-threatening. Now, there's a difference between subtle anxiety and panic. Panic is the extreme manifestation of an anxiety condition, okay? So if you're panicking, that's because your mind believes that the worst case scenario is going to happen. So it prepares you to fight that threat. Now, when you accept panic and you don't pay it any attention and you don't give it the credibility, the panic stops. Now, why is this? Because when you're panicking, your body is sending out risk assessments. Your mind is doing risk assessments. So if you don't respond to that, your subconscious mind interprets that you're not reacting with risk, so the risk assessments stop. Do you see how that works? And I know this sounds really, really crazy, but this is how you end panic attacks. You must accept the panic. Do whatever it takes to accept it. And the thoughts that present themselves can be absolutely horrific. I know. I've had panic attacks. My condition, however, wasn't panic disorder. I had generalized anxiety disorder. And I was really anxious about losing the woman of my dreams when I was with her. Now I have a girlfriend now, and she's wonderful. But I was really, really scared of losing this woman I was in love with. And I was smoking copious amounts of marijuana. By the way, Any of you out there right now who are told that marijuana is good for anxiety, that is complete bullshit. Now, I know you may be saying to yourself, yeah, but when I smoke weed, the anxiety goes away. No. Marijuana intenses activity inside the amygdala and the limbic system of your brain, which is the emotional center of your mind, okay? Don't listen to these medical people that say marijuana helps anxiety. It does not. I know for a fact. Because when I smoked more marijuana, I got more anxiety. Okay? That's actually how I developed my anxiety disorder that I used to have, was from smoking copious amounts of marijuana. I can't smoke pot anymore. If I smoke pot now, my mind just goes back into fight or flight response. I avoid drugs. Okay? So, and I'm not the only person that has developed anxiety as a result from cannabis use. There are literally thousands upon thousands of people who have claimed that marijuana has given them anxiety disorders. So how does marijuana help anxiety? That doesn't make very much sense. Now, I understand that's going to be an individual case-by-case basis, but the majority of people who have a predisposition to developing anxiety conditions do not benefit from cannabis use. This is false. Cannabis use does not help anxiety disorders. Avoid cannabis. Now, one thing you have to remember is that anxiety is born from memory. Okay? So you know very well your anxiety has developed as a result of something that's happened to you. So if you can reprogram those memories and replace them with new non-anxious memories, then the anxiety will go away. How do you do this? First rule is acceptance. You must accept what's happening without any type of fear. Okay? Because the way the anxiety loop works is the more you fear something, the worse it's going to get. Now, if you really think about it, you're fearing sensations and feelings. How much sense does that make? You're fearing thoughts. Now, don't get me wrong. Anxious related thoughts can be absolutely terrifying. Now, when I was in the midst of, I've only had about 4 panic attacks in my life, but when I was in the midst of that panic, I thought I was going to die. I literally thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going to fucking die. That's what happens because your brain and your body are prepared for the worst. So of course your thoughts are going to be at the worst, right? Because you have that the endocrine system's working, adrenaline's flowing through your body at a high rate, and you literally think you're going to die. But let's think about this. Do you ever experience anything bad after a panic attack? No. Nothing bad ever happens to you. Yes, you may feel dizzy, weak, shaky, clammy, nauseous. You might have some diarrhea or some vomiting. That's not from the anxiety itself. That's the result of your body being prepared to fight. That's adrenaline. Okay? That's the endocrine system in overdrive. That's adrenaline coursing through you. So your body speeds up all processes, including bowel movements, digestion, blood pressure, all that stuff increases. But you absolutely cannot die from a panic attack. I don't care what anybody's told you. You can't die from something that your body has built in to protect you from fear, to protect you from threat. It's part of your self-preservation system. That would make absolutely zero sense, guys. You can't die from anxiety. Okay? Number 2, get off of caffeine and cannabis. Stop using cannabis, stop drinking coffee. I notice that when I drink too much caffeine, sometimes I get the jitters and I get a tiny bit of anxiety, but it doesn't manifest back into that vicious cycle I was in 8 years ago. Okay? Now, anxiety is a result of things that you really, really think are the worst things that can happen. You think the worst things are going to happen, but they don't. They never do. Think about that. No matter how anxious you get, none of that stuff ever happens. There's a reason for that. Your mind is trying to fool you. Your mind is saying there's risk, I'm anxious, do something. Fight or run, fight or run, fight or run. You don't do anything. Don't react. And your mind will start to reassociate those triggers as non-anxious. Believe me, this stuff works. Now, emotions are very complex. I understand this. And if you're already suffering with depression, then anxiety makes it worse because you feel like a failure. You're like, man, I have this crazy condition that I can't control. I don't know what to do with myself. And I just don't know how to feel. I want to get into emotions and things like that. This is going to be a long video. I'm putting this up on the Entrepreneur Power Hour. And I'm going to start doing videos like this for the Power Hour as well, because I think this stuff would really help people. My girlfriend was recommending that I do this because this all ties into becoming an entrepreneur. You have to overcome the bad habits in your life first. So anxiety is a bad habit. That's all it is. It's formed in the exact same way that any other habit is formed. Practice. You have to practice being an anxious person to become an anxious person. It's not a mental illness. It's not a physical illness. It's not a chemical imbalance. Sorry. It's a result of programming. Now, people that develop anxiety conditions have a predisposition because of creative intellect. So you are among an elite group of people because you suffer. Think about that. Only people in the highest levels of their intelligence quota can develop anxiety-related conditions. That is a fact. So you actually possess a gift. I know that sounds really messed up, but it's the truth. Okay? You have a gift. And what you need to do is take that anxiety and channel it into something else. For me, it was becoming an entrepreneur. It's working hard on my goals. It's working hard on myself. It's developing into a great person that my girlfriend absolutely has fallen head over heels in love with. It's changing your perspective. It's doing personal development. It's constant work, but it's worked for me. And so if you're watching this video and you're wondering where to start, well, how do I start this transformation? Because nobody wants to feel anxious 24 hours a day. It's hell. I've been there. It's hell. It's literally hell. And I know what you're going through. And I want you to reach out to me. I will leave my personal information on the Entrepreneur Power Hour channel with my link to my YouTube channel, and you can message me through that, or you can message the Entrepreneur Power Hour. I really want to get a hold of anybody who's suffering from anxiety, and I want to help you guys through this process because, like Wonder Bro, and again, I'm going to do a big shout out to him. I'm going to add some stuff into this video so you guys can check him out. That guy is amazing, okay? You need to watch his stuff. He's a wonderful human being. Big shout out to you, Wonder Bro. I love your content, and watch a lot of his videos, and I'm going to start doing videos in the similar vein that he's been doing because I want to do exactly what he's doing, and I want to help a lot of people with their anxiety conditions. So I know emotions are complex, okay? But the way you start to change negativity into positivity is to realize that if one can exist, so can the other. So let's just digest this a little bit. I know I've been feeding you a lot of information, but there's a reason for this. I'm trying to help you see the intelligence you possess and how intelligent you have to be to suffer with anxiety, okay? So let's break this down. You feel awful. Your sensations are out of control. Your thoughts are out of control. You feel like you're going crazy, right? You're actually not. That's just your mind's creative power at work, but in the wrong aspect. So, if you can change that perspective around and take all of that creative power and shift it into something you really want to do, the anxiety is going to go away. Like that. Now it's going to take time to reprogram your amygdala, but the initial anxiety you feel at that moment, you will notice, will cease immediately because your brain can't be occupied with being anxious and learning something new at the same time. It's not possible. It's one or the other. Your subconscious mind's only capable of concentrating on one task at a time. Anxiety is a task for your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind believes that anxiety is normal behavior. So it's performing its tasks, its habits that you've programmed it with. So start to program it with new habits. Now I know right now that's going to be hard for you to swallow because you're like, well, I feel like shit all the time. I just want to lay in bed and I just want this to be over. Willing it is not enough. You have to do the work. And I recommend personal development in all my videos. I recommend you getting into martial arts, learning an instrument, learning a language, starting a business, studying personal development. I said that, sorry. And get out there and start helping people. Get outside of yourself as much as you can. Get outside of your head. Take that energy and focus on giving. And believe me, this is amazing how fast this will start to transform your life. And all of that will lead, all this anxiety you're feeling right now, the way you feel right now is going to lead to something positive, because it did for me. And it does for every anxiety sufferer. You will become great. You will become well again. I promise you. Now we're going to go through some rules that are also going to help you erase your anxiety. Stop talking about your condition. I know this sounds counterproductive, and I know there's people out there that you want to talk to about your condition, but all you're doing is reminding your subconscious mind that you're anxious. Stop doing this. Remember, if you keep being around cigarettes and smoking, you're never going to quit smoking, right? It's the same thing with this. You see triggers that make you crave nicotine, that make you crave that cigarette. Anxiety works exactly the same way. Stop talking about your condition. Okay? Another thing you need to do is to stop visiting the doctor. I don't care how many times you've been told that you need to go see your doctor. Think about it. When you've been to the doctor, how many times has it actually helped you? Has it ever made a difference when you've visited the doctor? No. All they've done is maybe give you some reassurance and handed you a bottle of pills. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about the next rule. Get off your medication. Now, I don't care how well this works, because what actually happens is anxiolytics make your anxiety worse. They really do, because benzodiazepines work on the GABA system of your brain, and all they do is put a cap on it. So they just reduce the amount of receptors that are receiving your anxious sensations. They just numb the receptors and stop the anxiety a little bit. They don't cure the condition itself. Pills are a non-therapeutic thing. I never took anxiety medication when I had my condition, and I don't recommend any of you do either. Number 3, stop leaning on other people. Okay? No one can help you through this, only you. And when you talk about it with them, you're literally feeding your anxiety. So just stop leaning on other people. I know it's going to be hard for you to hear this, but this is very, very true. And by doing this, you're actually teaching yourself that you're going to be fine. So you're literally challenging the anxiety. And that's the key here. You have to challenge this condition, because your mind doesn't want to be anxious. Your subconscious mind does not want to be this way. It's just learned to become this way through your behavior. Another thing you have to do is don't hold on to memories of your condition. Okay? And by holding on to memories of your condition, you are continuously reinforcing it. And I know that's going to be really hard, because you're going to say, yeah, but the thoughts are so intrusive, and then they form memories, and then those memories become thoughts, and then the cycle just continues, right? But by diverting your mind away from it and accepting it, you're actually putting a block in the cycle. You're cutting it off. And those memories will start to recede. As your anxiety abates and goes away, those terrible thoughts and those memories will start to recede. And another thing, stop researching it. I know a lot of people that want to know more about anxiety. They're on the internet constantly researching. This is a bad idea. By researching your condition, you're telling yourself you have something wrong with you, which sets off your fight or flight response, and then your mind will interpret those symptoms as risk. Do you see how that works? When you're researching anxiety, you're teaching yourself that you have something wrong with you. You don't. All that's happened is you've become sensitized. Your brain has become overly sensitized. That is the only thing that has happened. Your nerves are on edge, you're on edge, your mind's in constant fight or flight response. This is not anything to fear. It's just fear itself. Okay? Yeah, you got to stop doing all this. These behavioral changes are going to start the process of recovery. And accepting is very, very vital. I cannot preach this enough. I had to accept everything that was happening with me, and it started the healing process a lot quicker. Now, I'm not saying I don't have moments when I'm anxious. Yes, I do. Of course I do. Of course, sometimes I have concerns about the future, but that's what anxiety is. It's anticipation of worst-case scenario events. You can't live in the future. Live in the now. Okay? Anxiety is always the result of living ahead of each day, living ahead of yourself. and thinking, well, if I don't do this and I don't do this and I don't do this, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. If I don't wash my hands a million times, this will happen. If I don't close the door over and over 25 times, someone's going to die. No. Okay? None of that will ever happen. I want to get into a bit about OCD as well, because OCD is a condition that a lot of people deal with, and this is just a physical manifestation of the anxious symptoms or sensations that you experience. Mine was generalized anxiety. Panic is panic. Agoraphobia. Phobias are phobias. OCD is OCD, but they're all tied to the same thing, high anxiety. Okay? The only difference is OCD manifests itself in a physical sense, where you're performing rituals and tasks over and over and over again because you think if you do that, nothing bad's going to happen, right? So you encourage the anxiety, you feed it, because you're like, if I do this, everything will be fine, everything will be fine. Wash my hands a million times. Maybe you have a fear of germs, so you're constantly washing your hands, and you're washing everything in sight, and you see how that's obsessive behavior. Okay? So by being obsessive, you're telling yourself there's something wrong, your brain interprets it as a threat, sets off anxiety. Can you see the process? And those compulsions have to stop. How do you stop them? Divert your mind away from them. Accept the fact that if you don't wash your hands 20 million times a day, you're going to be fine. Okay? If you don't close the door over and over, you're going to be fine. I know a guy who used to turn the lights off 100 times before he could leave the house, on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. And I'd stand there being like, are we going out for a beer, bro? And he's like, no, man, I have to turn my lights on and off 100 times before I can leave. And he would be panicking the entire time he was doing this. And I just took him aside, and what I did is I sat him down, and I went out and I turned the light off once. And he just starts freaking out and panicking and panicking and panicking. And I said, bro, sit here for 15 minutes with me. Let's go through this panic. Notice how the lights are still off and nothing's happening. 15 minutes go by. I go, are you dead? He goes, no. I go, am I dead? No. I go, is anybody in your house dead? He goes, no. I go, exactly. Lights have been off for 15 minutes and you haven't turned them on and off for 100 times. Has anything bad happened? And he goes, no. And as he practiced that, he noticed that his anxiety about keep turning the lights on and off went away. So that's what OCD is. It's just a physical manifestation of the internal things you're going through, the internal anxiety you're feeling. And the only way out of anxiety is to challenge it, guys. You have to challenge this condition, and you've got to reprogram yourself. Number one, acceptance. Accept whatever's happening and just go with it. Number two, diversion. Throw yourself into something you've never ever done before, something you've always wanted to learn, something you've always wanted to do, and do it. Begin to work on it. Number three, just understand that you have a gift. You do. Your creative intellect is a gift. And if you accept what's happening, it's all going to go away. I promise you. I really mean this. Emotions can't harm us. Yes, they can make us feel terrible. They can make us feel like shit, but they cannot harm you. Please keep that in mind, okay? And I want you guys to go after your dreams. As an ex-anxiety sufferer, I cannot tell you how much I have grown, how good it feels to be succeeding as an entrepreneur, building a company with my best friend, getting the help we need, studying personal development, having a girlfriend in my life. I didn't have all that 10 years ago, right around the time I started suffering. I didn't have that because I was a negative person that no one wanted to be around. Now, of course, I was going through hell, but that doesn't mean I had to put anybody else through it. You still have a choice. You can make the choice to get well, or you can make the choice to feel anxious. It's just a matter of practicing what I told you every single day in steps. And avoiding, and another thing that you got to do, I almost forgot about this, the fourth thing. You need to go into situations that make you anxious. I know, you're going to go, well, didn't you just tell me to avoid anxiety? I said avoid behaving anxiously. There is a difference. But now you've got to go back into those situations that give you panic. Why is this? You're going to scratch in your head right now going, what the hell are you talking about? Go back to the grocery store where you panicked. Go wherever you've been that's made you anxious and throw yourself into that situation and force yourself to stay in that situation until the anxiety subsides. And do this and do this and do this and do this. And I promise you, your anxiety will not be there much longer. Okay? You've got to face your anxiety head on, challenge it, divert your mind, and accept. And I promise you, you're going to get better. Everybody's pre-programmed to recover. Just like there's certain people are pre-programmed to develop this condition, you're pre-programmed to recover. It's just a matter of applying the right science to it. And that scientific method is exactly what I just explained to you, because that's how the condition forms. So really what you're doing is you're just taking all that conditioning and you're reversing it. Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes perfect sense to me. Look forward to more videos coming. I really hope you enjoyed this video on overcoming anxiety. I'm going to be putting it up on the Entrepreneur Power Hour on Livecast, or it's going up on my Facebook feed or on my Facebook timeline. And I love you guys, and as always, please have yourselves an excellent night, and check out Rockstar Entrepreneurial Starters at rockstarstarters.com to see what we can do for you to help your business get more clients and customers through the power of YouTube video marketing. That's what we can do for you. We're video experts, we're video editing experts, and we can put together any kind of video you want with narration, music, backdrops, professional callouts, effects, lower thirds, text, all that awesome stuff. Check out rockstarstarters.com. We will see you guys later. Have yourselves an awesome night. And as always, believe in yourself. Cheers.